Welcome back. Hopefully you had a really good morning so far. So we're going to start with just a little bit of pondering about digital design centers and what's in a name. And I think in a way, when we call it digital design center or virtual design center, we're kind of narrowing the impact and what the purpose of the tool really is. And it almost sounds like it's a tool for us to make the design process easier and more seamless, and customers are not quite so hard to manage if you have a virtual design center. And that's very, very us-centric. It's very builder-centric. And I think what it really is, it's not about digital, and it's not even about the selection process or just kind of that phase, that necessary evil that we have to go through. It's about allowing your prospects and your customers to really dream and design their new home, which is the beauty of new, right? If you buy a used home, it is what it is, and like it or love it, and you may have to fix it up or whatever. But with a new home, you can personalize it. And we were talking a little bit before the session, even if you don't have a ton of choice, for me as a buyer, I'm still personalizing. If I've got color selections to make, if I have countertop selections to make, any kind of choice, which you always have some choice, that's personal to me. That's personalization. So it really is about allowing me on my schedule, let me go as far as I want online. And some customers, of course, we in our earlier session, we talked about not all customers are the same, not all prospects are the same. Some like high touch, some like don't want to ever talk to you, some want to self-service. They're all very different. Our job is to enable prospects and buyers to go as far as they want, right? And let them self-serve and self-assist, but also be there so that they don't make silly decisions or make bad decisions as they're going over that. So it really is about personalization for them to dream and to design. So it's not just a tool. This is something that's really, really important in that whole process to enable that new home dream, if you will. And this is not the dream, right? So giving them kind of a used piece of paper with a bunch of, text on it and stacks of different books and things and, kind of throwing them in there and going, okay, you got a few hours, let's go. We got to make like $50,000 worth of decisions. That's not the dream. And if you're going to do that, at least have lots of different Sharpies on hand, because you all cross things off, right? As they're not available, right? You're constantly updating with your little Sharpies. So we have to think a little bit differently and think about enabling that dream. So I thought I would share with you, this is an actual interview of a customer. He's in the witness protection program, talking about his design experience with his builder. So I thought this would be instructive.
So we signed our contract, and we were told we had 1 month to select options, which seemed pretty reasonable. He said, it's really only your initial option selection, and you'll be able to make changes afterwards. So we didn't think very much of it, and he said, and here's some stuff for you. So let me show you the stuff that he shared with us. So we've got an Excel spreadsheet here with lots of different options on it, and we have a price list, right? Again, multiple pages, lots of options. And then we have the Northeast Zone Option Walk-Up Design Standards and Specifications. Now this huge book of stuff, you open it up, you say, hey, you want a front door? That's great. We have 5 front doors, but you can only have 1 of them. Here are all the cabinets, but all these cabinets on the bottom you can't have. So they're showing me pictures of stuff that they tell me I can't have for this project. And if you want to choose the granite for your kitchen counter, here's tiny little squares. Here are your flooring recommendations. They're words. And if you want to know what trim level recommendations are, this is what trim level, it's another spreadsheet full of lots and lots of detail and a whole bunch of stuff that I can't have in case I ever wanted it. The builder calls back.
So I cut it off. It's a little too painful to watch the whole thing. But this is the experience in many cases, and I hope, none of you, I hope that wasn't any of you. We tried to protect the builder's name as much as the customer, but this is the reality. A lot of times in our business, this is what we put our customers through. Now, sometimes our spreadsheets get fancier, right? But there's still spreadsheets, and there's still words, and it's not experiential, and it's not on my time. And then we show them things that they can't have. So it's really about upping our game in terms of, this part of the process. So we can do better for our customers. And the good news is we can do better for our customers, and it actually helps our business at the same time. So it really is lots of juicy goodness for all constituents. And we've had digital design solutions around for about 20 years now. I mean, this is not a brand new thing that's come onto the scene. And the reality is we make more money. And you could stop right there and go, who doesn't want more money? Who doesn't want 30% more in option upgrades? That's just really great goodness and drops right to your bottom line. We have fewer cancellations because I've taken all this time to design my home and I'm involved in the process and I can see it. I'm not gonna give that home up to someone else. That's my home, right? And I've invested my time and energy and passion into that. We have more delighted buyers, again, because I made it my home. I didn't feel pressured. I didn't feel sales pressure to, spend more money that perhaps I didn't want. I wasn't rushed in just kind of one physical appointment. I had this tool to help me prepare for that. We avoid costly lawsuits. One costly lawsuit on showing the wrong product makes up for this tool in and of itself, right? So did I mention the option upgrade sales? That's really important. That pays for the tool. And then avoiding a lawsuit or two is really huge. And who wants a lawsuit with your customer? The other thing that's really instructive is if you turn this on for your buyers before they've contracted, right? And you may suppress pricing if that's what you want to do. I would recommend you show pricing because you want to be transparent, but you don't have to. If you let them design their house before they've contracted, they then create an account, you know who they are, you work with them, your salesperson has all this information about who they are, what they want, the colors, they've designed, it's their home now, it's not, Billy Bob's home, this is my home. This is not the builder's house any longer. Those leads convert at about 20 to 40%. No leads convert at that kind of rate. And again, it's because I personalized it and it's my home. So I have sold myself further down that process. We have more efficient design appointments and process because they're prepared, they've studied, they've really kind of fought as, the couple, where are they gonna spend the money? The wife always wins, I'm just saying. But, they've had that discussion. You're not having to do that couples therapy in person with them. But they come in predisposed, they know how much they want to spend, but they still want to talk to you. They really value their design consultants. They really think that you can help them and they want to touch and feel some things. So it doesn't get rid of that physical appointment by any means, but it makes those appointments much more pleasurable and it changes the dynamic. They come in going, okay, we know we're going to spend about $50,000. We know we want these things. I need your advice on these things, and I need to touch and feel. Great. Completely different psychology than walking in cold and scared going, oh my gosh, hang on to the wallet, honey. When I give you the signal, we're out of money. Very different psychology. You're not selling them. They've already sold themselves, right, in their design process. And then the digital access extends to the field. So now your field personnel also can see exactly a picture of exactly what the customer ordered, and you're putting in the right products. And there's a ton of other benefits we're going to talk about as well. So it is about the customer and it is about enabling them to design and dream, but it has lots of really great benefits for you as a builder as well. So our goal of our session today is to help you understand kind of what is this all about and get over kind of any nervousness that you might have or any issues that you might have. Understand lots of builders have gone before you and it's really, really good and it's really important. And also, as we listened to the demographics yesterday, as we start to get to the younger millennials and the Gen Zs, you absolutely have to have this. They are not going to do those, paper spreadsheets of olden days. That is not going to happen for them. So it's really important that we embrace that. So our goal today is to help you see the way, understand some case studies, talk about some of the challenges as well as the opportunities, and then we'll let her rip from there. So with that, this is our esteemed panel. So we have Ryan, who was with ECI Insearch, and he actually founded Insearch before it became part of ECI. Frank, who has been in the industry for over 30 years. Did you start when you were 10?
Almost.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay. Yeah, but he's been involved in technology and media and graphics, through that whole time in home building. And then Monica, as well, who is part of ECI and customer success. So she's going to talk to us about some things. And then Gena, who runs all of KB's design studios and design consultants. So about 100 consultants, many design center stores for KB. So she's got a wealth of information, and she's been doing that for about 20-ish years or so. So very exciting. So we have a great panel, and we're going to talk about case studies as well as kind of some best practices and some other learnings as well. So I am going to pass this over to Mr. Ryan, and he is going to take it away.
All right, thank you. So I'm not going to dive too deep into the software itself today, just going to go over a specific case study with one of our clients. And when you look at ECI, so ECI is building out the entire ecosystem. We're trying to build out the entire ecosystem, not only for the home buyer cycle, but also the home builder cycle. They're building out the home buyer cycle as well too. So the design center is really an extension of what was gone over in the panel yesterday as well too. So the design center can extend into the sales side of things as well too. So you invest your time and money in that design center, you want to reveal those to your prospects as well too. So you can capture just what buyers are interested in as well too. So so Bill Beasley Homes, they have their design centers on their website, so a lead can come in, you can capture that lead information just like you can with interactive floor plans and things of that nature. So specific products that they are currently using with ECI is Mark Systems, which is the ERP, Insearch, which is the sales and design portion, and then Lasso, which is the CRM. So all those leads that are captured with Insearch, not only do the selections actually extend into Mark Systems, so the selections actually carry into the ERP where you can carry that on to when they purchase a home, all those selections can come across, but also that lead information goes into the CRM so you can nurture that prospect as well too. So this is just a quick example of what their design center looks like. And then one point I wanted to bring up, specifically how they use it, is they're actually speccing their houses out now with their digital design center as well. So even before it reaches the client, the designers are actually using the software, coming in here, making all their selections, and with that connected integration with the ERP, they're pushing those options directly back in to create all their addendums, and so they can move on to contract and things like that. So I think the important note there is the interactive software is not only empowering the buyer, but it also empowers your entire team as well too. They are taking full advantage of the software as well too, and they're using it daily. So looking at a couple quotes from them, this is the director of interior design. So you can see that she talks a lot about how the buyer acceptance has been great. So when that buyer comes in, they're sending out the link to the design center. So they're sitting at home, they're making all their selections. So we're talking about time savings as well too. When they come into the design studio to make their official selections, they already have a really good idea of what they want, all the options that are available to them, not the ones that aren't, as Melissa showed. So they're able to make those selections, and they have a really good idea of where they want to go with their house. And then it's kind of a byproduct of the connected design center with the ERP is purchasing is now heavily involved. Purchasing doesn't necessarily own the design center, but they essentially own the options that end up living in the design center. So design team still gets to manage what everything looks like and how the options are presented, but purchasing now, has a larger role. And then you can see, with his response here, like he's actually saved a lot of time. And the back and forth is actually minimized quite a bit, so the design team gets to go and really do what they're good at and don't have to deal with the purchasing side as much. So we've been working on an AI integration, so basically like a ChatGPT integration. So you can basically ask anything. You can ask it anything. It's going to graph out all of your responses. So it's going to give you all your top, really whatever, manufacturers and everything. So I just wanted to show you guys, this is their exact data. And I wanted to, the stigma of AI, I just wanted to kind of, make sure that when you use your own data, it is going to give you the response of your own data. It's not going to, it's not going out into the world. It's not grabbing random stuff. It is using your own data. So when you specifically ask AI about your data, it's just going to give you those responses so you can trust that it's accurate. So these are just a few that I had pulled from their software. So I think there's been, in the last 3 months, I think there's 13,000 selections or something that this was looking at. One of these, this is very interesting, and I'm not even sure if the client knows this right now, but this is cabinet colors that have been chosen, and you can see white is the first one there, and then the next one is way, way down. So, there's a couple things you can do with that. You can look at that and go, okay, well, I either need to increase my price of my white cabinets, or quit offering as much stuff, but there's a lot of options there. So a lot of information you can gain from your data. So again, going back to artificial intelligence and asking AI. So I just asked it at the very end. I said, I'm going to launch a new community. I have a new community coming up. From the data that I gave you, what should I be offering in my next community? So you can see, it went through and it says for flooring, you should be offering more LVP, 12 by 24 tile, all that information that is kind of floating out there. It kind of compresses all that information and it will give you all of the current trends. You can even go as far as asking it, I'm going to spec my next house out, and it will actually provide you all of the information that you need. You should be adding covered patios or whatever it may be, whatever's trending for those specific communities as well too. So you can really take advantage of AI and use it to your advantage. So.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Great case study. All right, Frank, take it away.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks for having me. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about traditional versus digital design centers. I have confused clients as a point. I just want to, maybe that's a wrong word. It's more about, someone goes into a design center and there's, just like Melissa was showing, hundreds or thousands of options, and you have a very limited amount of time to make selections. You can get very overwhelmed. Can take a lot of time. It actually confuses people because of the amount of options. Time restraints. Time restraints is one of the big ones. A lot of builders might have, 3 or 4 appointments, 2 or 3 hours each. You got 8 to 12 hours to make selections on your dream home. Me and my wife are shopping for a couch, and we went to a place on the weekend, and we spent 2 hours just looking for a couch. And she's been doing homework online. Just one couch.
Well, you're going to keep that couch forever, right?
Well, think
and
about
give it to your kids.
Exactly. And so we spend more time just doing simple purchases. And my guess is by the time the dust is settled, we'll probably spend 8 to 10 hours, the same amount of time that a builder typically asks a consumer to make those selections. That's what we really have to grapple with. And that leads to missed opportunities. When someone has to make constrained decisions in a very small amount of time, they're gonna, I gotta make a decision, I'm gonna choose this one. And that might mean you losing revenue. So if you're forcing someone to make decisions very quickly, that also can mean you're gonna make less sales on certain options. If I had more time to really research and understand, I could actually make a better decision. It's resource intensive. Manning design centers is not inexpensive. You have to build these facilities. Some of them are absolutely gorgeous, and it requires a lot of staff to man it. And higher human error. Let me clarify what I mean by that. When all the intelligence in the designer's head, and they do an incredible job, it's easy to make mistakes. Like a story I tell about one of my clients, someone bought a gas stove and they forgot to sell the gas line. So that $100, $200 option ended up costing the builder $2,500. By the time they dig the trench around the house to put the gas on the other side of the house and then connect it, it's $2,500, and you got a disgruntled customer who didn't have a stove for 2 weeks. So it's not the greatest thing, and technology can handle that. A configurator will make sure I sell a gas stove, I get a gas line. And as I mentioned before, it can be expensive. So let's talk about digital. Next level customer experience. Basically, someone can spend as much time as they want online. Within reason, obviously. If you've got to build the house and here's your deadline, you might have a month or 2 months, but you're not limiting them to the 2, 3, 4 hours or 8 hours. They can spend as much time. If me and my wife want to spend 24/7 online, it's up to us. We could sit there, decide what we like, what we don't like, save many options, and then go into the design center. And now we're already educated, we know what we like, and we can make more useful time with the professionals in the design center. This allows me to have a wider range of choices. I mean, if you choose, typical design centers, you're going to limit how many choices you have, because it's like going into a restaurant with a 10-page menu. It takes someone forever to make a decision. When you're doing it online, you can, it's their time. They can spend as much time as you want. So you could sell potentially more product, create more of that mass personalization, which ends up boosting upgrade sales. That's a big one. And streamline efficiency. Many of our clients will gain 2, 3, 4 times productivity out of their existing design centers and staff just by allowing people to spend a lot more time online. So let me just I just want to describe the difference between a visualizer and configurator. So visualizer, as it sounds, is it helps you visualize what your house is going to look like. It doesn't necessarily mean it's smart. A configurator is a tool that makes sure that it's smart. Make sure that if I buy a gas stove, I'm going to get a gas line. If I buy a 2-hole faucet, I get a 2-hole sink. It's not going to allow you to mismatch products. Just like right now, you can go and configure a car. I mean, everybody knows that there's car configurators out there. You're not going to be able to buy 19-inch rubber on 18-inch rims. It won't allow you to do that. So it prevents you from making those kind of mistakes, which then extends, gives you the ability to offer this in a much more productive way online. So I'm going to show some examples of, this is a visualizer configurator. And the system here is actually showing your actual selections. And there you can see a backsplash, a click on other backsplash, and you can see the difference. I think the red button will allow me to toggle back, right? Or no? Anyway, so I'll go to the next one. So I'm zooming in some cabinets. And a good visualizer will be able to allow you to get really close on product. As you can see here, I'm really zoomed in on the cabinets. And I can see the detail, the reflections, the colors, and that's really makes it effective. So you don't, the screen, if you try this online yourself, you really get a good appreciation for it. But it allows you to properly see the detail. So it's just like I'm standing here and I can see this wood grain, I can get as close as you want so you can actually see that detail without actually physically touching it. Now, the beauty is when you have this is what I can do online. The same tool can be inside the design center. You can touch and feel the materials. Many of our clients walk around with iPads, so I can actually touch and feel this wood, and then I can scan the QR code and boom, it brings up so you can actually see not just the little chip, you can actually see what that's going to look like inside your kitchen. That's a great hybrid type of approach. Some more examples, and you can get very photorealistic. These graphics are all computed in the cloud, and they're just streamed to anybody's device. So basically, you can use this on a phone or any tablet or anything that has a good internet connection. Countertops, getting different angles to be able to show the proper product, so you can see the countertop changing. And this is about allowing the customer to really personalize and make this their own. And just like Melissa was saying, if you give this as a tool before they make the selections, you don't have to have pricing on it. Get them excited. People, when they're actually using this, it generates leads for salespeople. So perfect scenario is you have your design center using this to make selections, and you got your salespeople, you use this for sales to help generate more interest. So you can change physical, like that's a stove, I can change the stove, so it's not limited to just material options. You can actually change physical options. I want to sell someone a vaulted ceiling. How do you describe that to what a vaulted ceiling would look to someone? Mm-hmm. I mean, I couldn't visualize it, or a barrel ceiling. Well, I could show you what it's going to look like. So there's your barrel ceiling, there's your vaulted ceiling. Allowing someone to make these kind of plan configurations, flex plan changes, just like a lot of us have those 2D floor plans you can configure, can actually visualize all of that. It makes it so much easier for someone to say, well, am I going to pay an extra 10 grand for that? Well, my back button doesn't work, otherwise I'd be able to go back and toggle.
It might work, you can try.
I can try. Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, it works. Okay.
There you go. Never ask that.
Start.
What's the worst that could happen,
So
it could be the blow up button,
And I could
Mr. President, do not touch the button. Oh, no.
So that's just being able to really visualize and show someone what this is going to look like. So I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 of our clients as success stories. This client has been using visualizer configurators for about 10 years. And they started with packages, and now it's full customization, and they take a hybrid approach. What does that mean? You start online, it's up to the customer. Just like Melissa was alluding to earlier, it's whatever the customer experience someone wants. If they want to do 100% in the design center, you can. Hey, I only want to talk to a person, you can. I want to do 100% online, you can, or it can be a combination of. So they allow their customers to tailor the experience that they want. So they get the best of all worlds, which really gives them really high personalization level. They get a lot of operational efficiency and customer satisfaction, and I have some stats that'll show that. They save about 2/3 of their time in the design center, because a lot of people, again, start online and they finish it online. So they're very much start online, finish inside the design center. Mm-hmm. I'll show some others that have 100% online. Realistic lighting, shadows, reflections, that really helps to enhance the overall experience. 120% of the revenue target they're able to achieve. Net Promoter Score, 110%. And that's excellent. That is a fantastic customer satisfaction rate. And that is because they're allowing their consumer to tailor the experience the way they want, right? They're not forcing them to say, you're looking at my spreadsheets, or you only come in the design center, or you have to do 100%. I personally think this is the best way of doing it, because you just tailor the experience to how someone wants it. 2/3 reduction in appointment times. That doesn't mean the builder shuts down design centers and lower staff. It means they could build more in the same space. Right? So instead of me trying to expand, I'm building 1,000 homes a year, I want to go to 2,000 homes a year, I got to hire more staff, more space to build design centers. I could utilize the same assets that I have right now and resources, and I can grow. Mm-hmm. And who wouldn't want to grow without having to get your costs going up, right? So that's a really great thing. So this client, their approach is to do 100% online, fewer selections they have, but they want to do 100% online. They achieve 95% of people did it online. Only 5% said, no, I want to come in. So very different approach. They want people to do online, they can. In a recent project, quarter of the units they completed, they had about $12,000 in upgrades. They typically have 2,000 to 3,000, so it's a 4x in terms of how much revenue they've been able to sell. Really enhances that customer experience. And at the end of the day, why people can make their choices at their own pace. They give them lots of time. You're not forced. You go in the design center with them, you have 3 hours. You have one appointment, 3 hours, that's it. Or you can spend days, weeks at home to make your own selections at your own pace. Automated for smoother sales process. So they have DocuSign integration, all that, complete checkout. You can put your credit card down, pay for the options online if you wanted to. And reduced overhead costs. The one person, I think the next slide here, that's a ChatGPT slide, by the way, went in and said, hey, I want to design.
They're so pretty. Those people are so pretty.
But you were mentioning AI. It's incredible what AI is doing, can do, will do. It's completely changing the game, and that's just you go in there and say, give me one designer with 5 people around, just to emphasize that they, with one designer, they can do 5 times the amount of people in their current design center. So if they're trying to grow, they can, just because they've implemented a digital design center. 80% of their time is saved, and each design can have 5 times as many people as I just mentioned. Last example, this client has been using Digital Design Center since 2008. They've now moved into VR as that next level. So you can actually VR is not just for walking around. I can go in and experience and change the materials and everything right inside the VR headset using exactly the same technology. It's not another thing you have to build. It's just another way of experiencing it. And they took this at a local home show, and there were some clients on the fence, and they ended up buying right there on the trade show floor or the home show floor once they were able to actually experience their home in VR and be able to change materials and colors. It's just the next level of experiences. If you haven't tried it, it's one of the, I can describe it all you want. You can't. It's one of those things you have to experience it in order to really understand what's going to look like. And not everybody will put the headsets on. I get it. But, when we do trade shows and stuff, we're about 30-40% of people are comfortable wearing those headsets right now. So it's not everybody, but it's one of those things where, hey, you tailor the experience to what people want. You're not forcing them to say, hey, you're going to only do this or that. It's just allowing people to choose. Fun and interactive, next step, and I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, a couple of key points I want to make sure that we punch. One, on the VR scenario, there are some people, they will come right up and strap that baby on and they're like good to go. Mostly male, more male, right? More skewed younger. But don't write off VR, because another really big use case of VR is it's in your design center or in your sales center. They don't have to put the headset on. Your salesperson can project it on a big monitor, have a tablet, walk them through the selections. Hey, let's go to the kitchen and let's pick what you would like. And then let's go to the living room, let's pick what you would like. They may then want to strap on the headset because you can kind of walk through and get that experience, but they may not. And it's a very interactive experience. So don't get locked into just that use case of having to strap on the headset. And the second thing, I just want to make sure I emphasize what Frank said. These tools are not just for the customers and the end users. Your poor design consultants, they have to be experts. I don't know how they do it, right? But the more you can give them tools that assist through that process and have access to that information and educate those buyers. We have some builders who are using virtual design centers. If someone has not logged in before their appointment, they'll call them and encourage them to log in and play with it and move the appointment by a couple of days, because the designers know someone who has done that process before, they're gonna spend more, they're gonna be less cranky, they're gonna be happier, fewer change orders, I make more commission. Yeah, that is a really good scenario. So I just want to make sure I punch those points, because I thought those were really, really important.
And just on that, the headsets are changing. They're going to get smaller. They'll be, the size of glasses. They're not going to be these big clunky. This morning I had a presentation that Gena was there. I had the big plunky headset on. Probably everyone's laughing at me, but they're going to get a lot smaller and more.
Now, were they laughing at you because of the headset, or
maybe both? Probably both.
I mean, we're not going to go there. But anyway, awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, we're going to move on to Ms. Gena.
Hi, everybody. I'm just curious about the audience. How many builders do we have in the room? Can you raise your hand? Okay, lots. How many of the builders have any type of virtual presence around Design Studio? Okay, several. Perfect. I'm going to go off the script a little bit, but one thing I've heard while I'm here is the customer cares about the experience, and we need to communicate with the customer. And obviously, Design Studio, online Design Studio, virtualization, all of the tools that these gentlemen have just been talking about is a way to do that and to make things easy. As Melissa mentioned, I run the design studios for KB. I have 23 design studios across the United States. They range from 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. And I have about 120 consultants. And I remember when I was working on a new design studio, as far as the actual physical design, I went in and I sat with the design consultants and I watched the customers enter the studio, and our admin would be like, "Hi, welcome to KB Home, how are you today?" And they would look around and they would get completely overwhelmed. Because at KB, about 65% of our home buyers are millennials. The customer that's coming at us is the Gen Zs. They expect technology. The millennials love technology. Some of them like to use it, some of them don't. But they also need that physical brick and mortar combination. But as I was sitting there and watching the customers come in, I noticed a lot of things. Number one, our consultants had all of the product in their hand. Our customer didn't. And so when I designed the design studio, I tried to make it a very creative space, because that's super important when that customer does come to the design studio, to have that incredibly physical space that they can use. But backing up into the digital experience, which I've been embarking on for about 20 years, and it's been an up and down battle. One, because we changed our ERP system about 5 years ago, 23 divisions, rolling it out, as you can imagine. Secondly, because of the fact that, options can be a big bucket of options. And so the other thing that I had to work really closely on is reducing options, getting the jam jars to 3. And so I'm just I don't think this is gonna play. So I'll let this play. I should have let this play to begin with. But at the end of the day, the customer that's coming at us right now, they expect the digital experience. And so we've got to figure out how to communicate that digital experience with them and then pair it with our physical experience. And so kind of thinking about the home buyer journey, customers love to recognize brands. So I know a lot of the things that I saw today, there was brand recognition around, the Moen faucet, the quick-set door lock, all of those things. The other thing that I heard a lot about was about home experience, that once they're in the home, managing their home, the warranty piece of their home. And the thing about the digital experience is it kind of meshes all of that together. So at KB Home, our buyer sees the experience on our website, like what you're seeing here. A customer that's shopping for their home can explore the community, the site plan, all of those things. And then they get to the actual online design studio. Now at KB, we decided not to show pricing to our customer on our options. That was a very intentional decision because we don't want to have a customer make a decision on a home over the price of a refrigerator. We also implemented visualizers. Again, a limited number of options that the customer can understand what personalization means at KB Home, because every builder has a different view of that. Some builders are custom, some builders are packages, and some are all included, but there's still choice within the included. Maybe there's a color of a countertop. So we wanted to be able to demonstrate to our customer, what does choice mean at KB? And this just gives them an opportunity to do that. This also generates leads. I will share some statistics with you a little bit later as far as our post-sale experience about what this is doing for our customer experience. But at the end of the day, once the customer does buy, then they can continue to add on to the wish list that they started pre-sale in a post-sale mode. So how does that affect the design consultant? As you can imagine, tremendously. That customer is already educated. They've logged on to their website 24 times, 74 times, whatever it is based off of their comfortability. There's a lot of manufacturers' content, which allows them to understand the features and benefits of the product. There also is a tie to brand recognition, and it keeps them focused in on what we offer, not everything that is, sending them to a website. And then also the paper piece of the equation is gone. At KB, we use Envision, recently purchased by Zonda, but there's so many digital tools out there, and no matter what digital tool that you use, the point is to use the digital tool because the customer, like I said, expects it. One of the things that really was eye-opening to me, like I said, about reducing options, that 3 jam jar situation, making sure that customers that came online could understand the choices that were available to them. So this is our post experience. And for many builders, there's all different reasons to do this, right? Operational efficiencies, we've talked about raising revenues. It is about improving customer experience, all of these things. But my advice to you is if you haven't embarked on something, a digital experience, is the digital experience is great if it's understandable to the customer. So be sure you're looking at it from the lens of the customer, and make sure that the options that you're showing are very clear and precise to the customer. Because overall, it will improve the customer experience, but it could also tank the customer experience if what you have on there is too much for them to digest without the help of a consultant. Once the customer does their wish list and they come into the design studio, the design consultant has visibility to be able to understand what's important to that customer. And what that really does for the design consultant, besides the fact of understanding what's important to the customer, they're able to then make sure that they are presenting the things that tie with those things, what other customers purchased, or like product, if maybe they're looking at wood, but they've got 3 dogs and two young children, maybe, pushing them to an LVP, which maybe that will fit their needs better in their home. And so it allows that consultant to really personalize that experience for that customer also. And we have gotten really great results at KB. So our customers are spending this is post-sale, about 185 minutes online prior to them ever coming to the design studio. I can't even tell you from a customer experience, the uptick in that customer not wanting to make changes, just giving us an overall better satisfaction score because they're more confident in their buying decisions and they understand, again, what our choice means, and they're able to do their research up front. They're logging on about 8 times. And this is, again, post-sale. They've already been on pre-sale because that customer is usually starting a wish list before they ever purchase a KB home. And I think the average, last time I looked, which was, I think, about 2 weeks ago, is about 4 times. For the customers that actually purchased a home, if I look at their pre-sale log-on rates, they're about 4 times. And right now, we've got about a 73% wish list rate, which is, I think, fantastic. Some customers, what we find, they go on and they look, but they don't heart, they don't wish list, but they've done the work. But the 73% wish list rate is really fantastic. Part of what I talked about as far as reducing your option and making sure that your content is tight to allow for the customer to be able to make decisions quickly is the manufacturer's content. And that is something that I've been on a road to improve with the manufacturers. So all the manufacturers that I'm meeting with here today, my meetings at PCBC, my meetings at IBS, I'm talking about how can we streamline the manufacturer's content so that the manufacturer's content that our customer is seeing is very precise. The images are the same size from manufacturer to manufacturer. The key benefits that they need are front and center, not everything from their website, because that can be overwhelming to our customer. So I guess my message to you here is if you haven't done a digital experience, you need to. There just isn't going to be a question about it. But you have to do it thoughtfully. And part of that is looking at your options, making sure your purchasing is really scrubbed and your pricing is clear. Most of these systems are integrated with your, can be integrated with your back-end systems. I suggest integrate whenever possible, because anytime you're managing data in two places, that can become very cumbersome, and there's gaps for human room for error. And quite frankly, the goal of this is to make it easier, not just on our customer, but on the people inside the builder also, our purchasing and our studio teams. And then it's a combination of brick and mortar and digital. I think it's called? Phygital, right. That digital experience. You're right, design studios can be a little smaller. My current design, I've just built 3 of this brand new design. I've completely changed the way the experience is. It is very digital. Because during COVID, one of the things that we did is we all went digital, right? We all had to do meetings with our customers over Teams or Zoom or whatever. Well, KB, we kept that experience happening, and then we bring the buyer. So they've got the digital experience, then they've got the virtual experience, and then they have the physical experience. And it's that combination that is making that customer scores go up, and like I said, they're so much more confident in their buying decisions. And it's so much easier for the consultants. I remember when we first rolled out the digital tools and reduced our options, our consultants were really nervous. They were nervous about their job going away, or maybe they're not being as important. And they love it now, because now they have all of the information that they need right at their fingertips, because it's not only educating our customers, it's educating our design consultants. And overall, we're just having a really, really great experience. So if I'm available, if I can answer any questions for you as you're embarking on your journey. Thanks.
Oh, that was so awesome. So I've presented with Gena many, many times, and I've heard the story. I almost tear up, because it's like, and I kind of look at, if a builder the size of KB, it's hard, right? When you're a large builder with all these divisions and division presidents, those are super fun people. But really trying to, infuse something new and different and inspire and have the confidence of the designers, it actually comes down to leadership. Right? So we talk a lot about the tools, but it does require that champion, that leadership. And you've been doing it for 20 years, right? That steady drumbeat and believing in that. And all of you in here are leaders in your company. And that's probably the most important element, is that you believe and you know where your true north, and you're just guiding the company through it. So thank you.
Well, I feel like the technology is up here. I mean, we're at a tech conference, right? There's so much beautiful technology for all of us to utilize. Unfortunately, as builders, we're still sticks and brick, builders. And so we haven't really caught up with our processes and our data structures and everything to be able to implement the technologies carefully. So you have to be really super thoughtful.
You really do, and they have
You got to step back and say, what can I change? What do I have to do what am I doing that I don't have to do anymore?
Right. It's not adding on. It's really kind of streamlining.
Yeah.
And a little tip for you, it didn't come up yesterday, but Gen Zs actually like the physical retail experience. So it's a really interesting twist. I did not see that coming, because we talk about how digital they are. So they really do want to come in, but it had better have some digital infusion, or they're going to be really lost. So, well, thank you. That was excellent. All right, Monica's going to bring it home for us.
Yes, I am. Okay, so I'm Monica Wheaton. I'm the Vice President of Customer Success at ECI Software Solutions. So I work with our Insearch team, but I also work across 6 other products. And it's really cool because I get to see how these products work together and some of the value that we get, or our customers get, from these products by just leveraging them and using them. And the really cool part about Insearch is the integration that it has with Mark's systems. And while most of the panel is talking about the improved buyer experience that we're creating with the Digital Design Center, I care mostly about what's in it for me as a builder. What am I getting out of having this design center experience out there for my buyers, and how is it impacting my company? And so that's what I'm really going to focus on in this presentation. So one of the biggest things is that it really forces you to present accurate information to your prospects and your buyers. If your options list and pricing are out there for buyers to see, it better be accurate. right? And what does that do with your team? It actually creates accountability. So your purchasing team needs to be on top of what is in your design center and what your prices are, and those need to be updated in real time. Your design center team needs to educate your purchasing department about this new little thing that they're going to put on the shelf over there and offer to buyers to make sure that you have it in stock or you're able to get it and things like that. So it's very important to understand that the onus is on us as builders to make sure that our teams are on top of our data and are accountable to making sure that they have all the information there for the buyers to see. And that's not an easy task, right? It does take time and it takes a lot of dedication, but when you get there, you see huge value in not just the experience you're providing, but the profit that you're gonna see and the streamlining your processes and things like that. So basically then the second bullet point there, options presented are what is available, okay? You're not presenting options online that are not available to the buyer when they buy their house. The pricing is maintained in real time by purchasing. The price on your digital design center is the price that your purchasing team is offering for that product. Product or pricing changes are available to customers in real time because once purchasing updates that, it gets updated on the design center too. So you're not, and then going back to your binders and your samples, you're not having to manage these outdated binders and list of offerings. And that's kind of a funny thing too, when we're implementing digital design centers, it is, some work. And so some builders decide to go back to what they've been doing before. But how do they update those binders, right? Because they're afraid of having to update the information in their system, but the binders are never updated, right? You have to go in and copy and reload a PDF and download information and those kinds of things. So their information is outdated in their design center anyway, as it is in the physical space right now. Okay, so you find that you'll get some improved efficiency of your design team. How many of you builders, like the designers, don't even know what products they're offering for the builders? So a lot of times designers will go with what they know, and those are the products that they'll present to the buyers.
Like white cabinets?
Like the white cabinets, and maybe that's the case. Like the designers didn't realize, right? And maybe that's the problem there. So when you have a digital design center, it's all laid out, it's all presented there. We've talked a lot about how it reduces the time spent with buyers going through the selections. Designers review and consult on an active wish list versus building options list from scratch. And that's really cool too, I think, when you have the time to let the buyers make the wish list. And then what the designer is really doing is, there's more opportunities there for upsell, because if you expose pricing and the buyers know what they qualify for as far as their mortgage and their loan and what they can invest in their house, they're going to be making decisions based on that, right? What can I afford? What can I give? What can I take? When they come into the design center, the designer can then help them find that value with other products because of the professionalism, because they've been there, done that, and they know how to put together a very nice house. And so it becomes more of a consultative thing versus well, I guess it's the same word, like, right, yeah, you're not trying to settle arguments between husband and wife or whatever. So then the next one, center review, okay, sorry, I lost my place. Gives you greater control over your options offered in the design center. If it's not in the digital design center, it cannot be on the shelf. And that doesn't mean that a designer can't present a new product. They just need to work with purchasing to get it in the system so that it can be offered. The other thing is it allows you to experiment with test options. So you don't actually have to have a physical option in the center to put it on the design center. And maybe it's something that you're not certain that your buyers will want or that you would even want to offer. And so you can just put it in the digital design center and see how it performs on the wish list and then the selection list. So again, no more random offerings. It's within the system, it's in the system, or it's not offered. And one of the other things I really wanted to hit on this slide that I forgot was just if you look at how the designers are using the digital design center in this space. So it's not just about sending the design center home with the person and then going through the selection there. You can actually, if that's not the way you want to work it, you can actually just bring the buyers in and have the designers start from scratch. You don't have to send the digital design center home with them. They can work through that. They can walk them around the physical design center and then go back to the table and just select everything there. And we've actually found that there's quite a few of our builders who are actually using the digital design center to do the model home selections and then to do the spec selections and things. And so that's their process now, instead of having to fill out, the paper form or the addendum on the ERP system. So it works out really, really well for them.
I think one thing real quick, Mike,
sorry.
if you go back,
Yep.
this reminded me, this client right here, right behind them is a 4,000 square foot design center. So they have, just a few options and things like that. But right behind this, they have 3 faucets. They have the black, they have the chrome, or whatever. They have all their colors. And then on the digital design center, they have about 50 selections, but they grab the physical samples, they bring them to the table, so they let them touch and feel what a matte black looks like. But then you go to the digital design center, and then you have your free reign of whatever actual faucet you guys want to pick. So that's just a kind of a real world example of how they do it.
Well, and the other thing to mention about just Insearch, and I'm not sure how it is with other tools, because we're connected to the ERP, so when you send the link to the buyer, they're doing a wish list. When they come in, they're looking at their wish list, but the designers here are actually building the options list for the addendum. And so they're actually speccing out the house, which is great. So put the right options in front of the buyers. So this is interesting too, when people, like as I was saying before, what is their final selection versus what is put on their wish list. So a lot of design centers will save the wish list and then you go through it, and then why did they not end up with those options? Was it because of affordability? Was it, what were they looking at when they made their changes to get to their final selections? And this slide kind of talks more about like the data you can get out of the design center and what your consumers are doing, so you can start making decisions. And we'll get to a slide, that white cabinet slide, in just a second. But you can also determine the pricings and level of products offering. You can adjust that to increase profit on high demand items, which I thought was really interesting. I was talking to a builder recently, and they were looking at the results of their design center, and they had, level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 was most selected, and they ended up switching the level 2 and level 1 as far as price point was concerned. And it was really interesting to see that, because why are you putting your standard item as your most in-demand item as your standard item? You don't need to do that. You can actually increase the price of that, and then put another option as your standard and make people pay extra for that item that gets selected so much, and see is it price or was it just because it was the standard item? Is that why they're selecting it? Do we need to lower prices on some options to encourage different types of selections? And you can take a look at that as you're looking at the data that's coming out of your design centers. And then are there trends in what options are selected for certain models of your home? So this again is listen to your data. There's the white cabinets again. Understand the why. Is this a preference or a pricing issue? Are there trends with other selections? Is this because these are what we're showing in the model home? So that again goes to, you see the white cabinets in the model home. Well, maybe let's put some blue cabinets in there and see if that increases the volume of the blue cabinets that we sell. And that's a very simple example, but you get the point with the other products and the different costs of products as well, and the value that they bring to your company. Determine action. So can the number of selections offered be winnowed down here? Do you really need to offer that medium stain color, and have that in your, do you want to offer it? Do you want to have it in your design center? Do you just carry if your physical design center, carry the first 3 products and forget about the rest, but leave them there in the digital design center? Or just winnow it down completely so you don't have to maintain all that data? Should we include alternate colors? Yeah, I said that one, the alternate colors in the model homes. This is a really good point too. So this is interesting, talking to, again, a purchasing person who was really into buying the design center. And again, it wasn't, again, for the design center customer experience. It was so that they could really hone in on what products were most popular, what they were selling, what their buyers wanted, so they could demonstrate product purchasing trends to the manufacturers. And what they were trying to do is go back and renegotiate pricing. So they were now able to, because they winnowed down their selections, they were now able to commit to 250 of X product, which then allowed them to decrease price on that. They were also able to negotiate stronger rebates and incentives on their homes. And then if you look at this screen in particular, we are calling out the vendor. So will these vendors offer some co-op advertising incentives if you're naming out their product on your digital design center? And the answer to that is yes, they will. They will actually give you free product or give you some greater returns for your model homes. and things like that. So I think this might be close to my last slide, but the value of having your design center integrated with your operating system and really the environment and the ecosystem that we've created at ECI is just really exciting for me, because really you're sharing one data set. So from the point of sale to the design center, to operations, to purchasing, everything is all integrated. And even out to the field, Mark Systems has a product called ITK, where you can actually send out not just the list of product, but also some of these images out to the trade contractors so that they can see, make sure they get the product right when they're installing product in the houses. So I missed my first bullet point, but this no more back and forth between sales and purchasing to finalize price and selections. That was one that we got from Bill Beasley. It would take them 3 days to finalize pricing, and they'd have to bring the buyer back in. Now, with the way the Digital Design Center is set up, the prospect comes in, they go through, they make all the selections. This designer doesn't even have to talk to purchasing at all in order to close on that contract, and that is huge time savings. You minimize mistakes from human error by not having to enter data twice. No need to update and replicate, download, and all of that. And the build sheets can feed right into the agreement and back office system. I think I said that. And the images and selections can feed out to the trade. So ultimately, this is my last slide. Why do you want to do this? Yes, it's about the buyer experience, but really you want to increase your profit, because that's why you're building, right? You want to make more money, you want to be more successful, you want to build the right product for your audience. So with a Digital Design Center, buyers purchase more options through the online design center because they can see what they're getting and they can play with their funds that they have available to them. The transparent pricing allows them to make the trade-offs to maximize their budget in real time, which is always really great. You can increase margins on high demand items, and consider your pricing strategy as good, better, best, like we were talking about. Make your high demand items, increase the price on those. So I think that's all I have.
Awesome, that was perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. So I love how this kind of all dovetailed together. We started with kind of the customer, because obviously without customers, we have no revenue, we have no company. So you always start with the customer, but there's so many other benefits and so many other reasons, to do this, either in honor of your design consultants and making their lives easier and a little less stressful, all the way through to just making really good business decisions. So love how that all came together. So we have just a few minutes. We actually have time for a question or two. I know. Good job, everyone. Any questions from the audience? All right.
So we're doing about the rubric.
So if I get your question correctly, you're nervous that you may be going to just an online design center scenario. So this is a leadership question, okay? And I've got some thoughts, but I don't know if our panelists have some thoughts as well in terms of that. And I guess I'll start. I think what I usually say to builders is that if a physical retail experience is key to your process and you feel like you really need it, awesome. Like, I'm never a proponent of if you have that, get rid of it. I have seen a lot of builders who, similar to you, it's just not feasible, right? They just don't have enough units in that area, or it just isn't affordable for whatever reason. I would say in that case, you absolutely need a digital design center, right? Because you aren't gonna have that physical space. The other thing I've seen builders do is do remote design consultants. And this solves a couple of problems. Actually, we're getting into that one. It's really hard to hire people. Did anybody notice that? It's hard, and it's hard to find good design consultants in all markets. But if you have great design consultants, it's not uncommon to get on Zoom. There's now some VR collaboration tools which are cool that are coming out. So I mean, my advice to you is you go, because if you're not going to give them that physical retail experience, definitely do the online scenario, because you've got to give them something, and maybe consider remote consultants as well. So
that's what I was going to say, and you're definitely on the right path with maybe just A, B, and C, especially in the townhouse. And they have samples on hand so they can touch and feel. But you may have to augment with a physical human being, whether it be physically or digitally. just to answer their questions and to make sure that they're really confident. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can visualize package A, B, and C very easily as well. So they're just not looking at some samples. You can visualize them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very common right now, what you're doing.
Relying completely digital may be hard if you're also wanting to do those things. Yeah, because the customer may not feel as though they have that relationship with the builder.
I'd say too, use us as a sounding board as well too. Like as you guys talk internally, like we've done this for many years, and we've gone through a lot of implementations, even physical implementations in the design center. So I think, just use us as a sounding board as well too, because we've seen it. We can recommend what works well in the design center. We've been talking about this, a lot internally as well too, is just actually consulting with the design team on the build out and how to integrate the technology itself into the physical design center to best take advantage of all that stuff. So.
Yeah, but I applaud you. And I spend a lot of my time going into builders, helping them get more comfortable, right? And it's usually someone like you, you're a leader and you get it, but sometimes you need someone else from the outside to come in and tell them that this is a good thing to do. So yeah, to Ryan's point, tap into us and let us know how we can help. We're on a mission.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. One more question before we?
I have one.
Oh, you have a question?
For you.
Oh, me. I
I don't want to put you on the spot.
I know.
I work with her all the time.
I know.
I don't want to put you on the
what you
spot or
do.
anything. I was just curious when you were going through your slides if you've looked at retention, like people coming back. So since you have everything integrated interactively from leads all the way to contracts, are people more sticky? Are they buying second homes from you guys? Or you tracking that or anything?
We're not tracking that
Okay.
yet. No. I'm looking at Roxanne.
Just curious
Not
on
yet.
that.
Not yet, but that's so easy. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and let's not be remiss. We need to point out KB is the #1 trusted builder. given Trust Builder, their reviews are phenomenal. And I think, it's tough in a way sometimes to sell a second and third home because people may not be buying in that same community, that may not be the same price point. So that's kind of a strange metric. I think the metric to look at is really referrals. Like, did they refer someone? That's just gold. And then looking at the reviews, of course. So awesome. Well, you guys were really great. Well, I really appreciate everyone's attention and input, and the questions are great. And our panelists, really, let's give them a round of applause.